When I Paint My Masterpiece was recorded in 1971 with Bob Dylan as a sort of sister song in the same session, managed by Leon Russell, as the song Watching the River Flow. And they were thrown out on the Greatest Hits Volume 2. The band released their version of When I Paint the Masterpiece also the same year. The song itself represents a sort of fallacy in searching for a final fulfillment. You know, when will his masterpiece be made, and then what happens after he makes that masterpiece. And of course, the masterpiece could be in relation to actually a painting, because it's when I paint my masterpiece, as Dylan does paint himself. It could just be the artistic fulfillment of just something greater, of the black and white feeling of all my problems are going to be solved. And it's also kind of ironic that he made a song about unresolved, you know, when am I to create this masterpiece. It debuted on an album, Greatest Hits, full of masterpieces. So, you know, someday everything is going to be different. When I Paint My Masterpiece, it's a sucker's game of perfection, and it's a state of unrealistic simplicity. The song has been reworked to the modern day on Shadow Kingdom in 2023 in arrangements of it, most recently on the Rough and Rowdy Ways tour. It's rare for Dylan to actually locate a song within Europe itself. There's kind of a new world, old world contrast going on here, from like the gondola line lyric tourism to the plane rides. You know, the narrator is presumed to be a American tourist that can't really escape the original roots of the old continent. He has to come face to face with his European roots, so Rome and other Dylan songs, but this is the one that really focuses on Europe itself. Two major cities in the song. Rome represents the ancient capital of a great European empire, and the Colosseum itself that is mentioned represents this, versus Brussels, which is the administrative capital of today's European Union. It's a modern airport. It's completely different than what you would think of when you think of Rome. Is the narrator Dylan? I mean, probably not exactly, but they share similarities. He's searching for those ancient footprints in Rome. You're trying to fulfill those ancient senses around you that you might be able to finally achieve meaning, finally achieve that vision to paint the quote masterpiece. Now, what is the narrator seeking when I paint my masterpiece when it gets to Rome versus what they find? He wants artistic fulfillment, sexual relations, as shown by the first verse. He wants a creation of the perfect painting / vision, and he wants everything to sound like a rhapsody, which is really an epic Greek poem or an ecstatic expression of feeling, meaning everything's going to be okay. And what does he find in Rome? He finds rubble and wasted time. He finds confusion in reality itself, which is expectations versus reality are eventually going to be met, and you're going to be disappointed. Other notable lyrical allusions in When I Paint My Masterpiece include the Spanish steps that the narrator is climbing in the cold dark night, and this is a reference to the 135 steps in Rome. Constant lyric change between, in the first verse, he is on a date with Botticelli's niece, who is Sandro Botticelli, was an Italian Renaissance painter, versus the other way that the lyric was changed to in the band version, and of which there were flip-flop between the times it was played. The difference of expectation, because if he was meeting Botticelli's niece, Botticelli, the painter, is known for painting The Birth of Venus, which is commissioned by the Medici family, which is supposed to be kind of like making a play in an even older painting, idealized version of what, you know, you're having a date with someone as beautiful as someone that just walked out of a Renaissance painting versus just someone at a hotel in Greece. It's completely different, and this just adds onto the logical fallacy of what the actual song is about. What's interesting is also the Coca-Cola line, "Oh, to be back in the land of Coca-Cola." It kind of removes you out of the ancient Rome thing in the song. Could be an attempt at irony, but it's open to misinterpretation, and it's most frequently removed. They ran on a hilltop following a pack of wild geese, and of course that's a funny line. When I hear it, I chuckle to myself, especially when you hear Old Man Dylan singing it.
I read their faces just like a book. And we run through the back of my brain. When I ran on a hilltop and following a pack of wild geese. Someday, everything gonna be so doggone beautiful. But I'll pay that masterpiece.
But is actually an allusion to the Republic of Rome, because when Rome was sacked for the first time, you know, they were under siege for a long time, and the Roman Republic had low food supplies. Apologies if I'm getting some of these details wrong. You know, I wasn't there, but they fed these sacred geese despite their low food supplies because they believed in the geese. And then when the Gauls attacked the geese, since they were well fed, they woke up and they alerted the guards, and then they were able to defeat the invaders. There's something sacred in terms of Roman history, yet when it changes to the modern day, and you're literally on a wild goose chase for meaning, and in the modern day trying to relate back to this ancient way of apparently these people had it all figured out in terms of the geese. Bob Dylan, a couple years after he wrote When I Paint My Masterpiece in 1971, he released Blood on the Tracks, which is commonly considered to be his greatest work ever, his masterpiece. So perhaps after that point, he still made the masterpiece, like a couple years after he wrote the song about how he needed to reach that fulfillment. Yet, what is interesting is the most amount of times that this song has been performed by Dylan live, by far, have been in the modern era on the Rough and Rowdy Ways tour, which means he still feels like he hasn't reached that fulfillment in terms of what I interpret to be reaching what he feels to be fulfillment. Rome, because Rome is supposed to be like the epitome of what human civilization could be. And if you go there in the modern day, it's ancient debris spread out everywhere like ancient footprints. The brutality of the Colosseum it's romanticized and glorified, but in reality it was a terrible place full of execution. The prominence of romance in Rome with artistic and sexual fulfillment. Yet love and romance is nowhere to be found by the end of the song. It's all an idealistic, fallacy. The clergymen in uniform.
Clergymen in uniform and young girls from the bustle. Everyone was there to make me come down the hill.
Are a pretty pretty great decline from the heroic Christian martyrs that supposedly were sacrificed and executed and eaten by lions in the Colosseum. Why do you think the Colosseum is still here and all of the other Roman buildings were destroyed? Is because the church thought that romantic-sized idealized version of that is kind of like shot down. When he returns to Brussels, which is the modern world, and he sees just the depiction of what it is in the modern day, which is very much so watered down. There's newspapermen, which are paparazzi. It just suggests chaos in the modern world, and even the clumsy wild geese being chased is very much different than the sacred geese that were saving Rome heroically from the Gaul invasion and the first time it was sacked. He's just on this wild goose chase for meaning, really, and he's not finding anything. And it's quite a thing, because you're looking for you're just longing for a transcendence in perfection. With romance, true love will always be there. No, it's not. And perfection's erased every time you paint that masterpiece and everything's solved. Someday everything's going to be different. Nope. Mastery of the art and the craft is impossible, because life just keeps going on. He not busy being born is busy dying.
The hollow horn plays wasted words, proves to warn that he not busy being born is busy dying.
Dylan is a genius because he's crazy, and he's crazy because he's a genius, and perhaps he's just never felt that he has created that masterpiece, even though he has, because he has never felt entirely fulfilled. He's always had that yearning to just create and create and create, to express himself. He's never felt that he's got there, so he's just shoveling along. This is why he has never stopped the never-ending tour after 37 years. Why do you think he has never done that? And if you actually look at the way that the song is played, it reflects unguarded vulnerability within the human spirit. The difference between him playing in the 70s is that he's idealistic, he's young, he's optimistic, and he's homesick. You could hear it in his voice. And then now, in the new arrangements a couple years ago and to this day at the Rough and Rowdy Ways tour, he sounds like he never got to paint that masterpiece in terms of how he feels about the world. So he's still pushing on. He's still pushing on to try to express and feel in the best way that he knows how. And, perhaps he just feels that the best days of his life are the ones he spent looking forward to the future. Is it a coincidence that he started performing this song way more often post Nobel Prize in his old age? I don't know.
Eating candy. Had to be out of bed by big 40s.
Perhaps you're just constantly striving for the perfect art of creation, but just like Rome, everything is temporary. Even if you achieve the greatest grand spirit and empire across the human civilization, it's temporary, and it will be reduced to rubble. But he's trying. Go Dylan.
Someday, everything gonna be a synagogue different. When I paint my masterpiece.